Hi, hello, welcome to Dusty Shop, where bad decisions are rabid and planning is lacking. So, don't do what we do. Well, you could try it. Have fun with it. You know, do the YouTube stuff. Click like and subscribe. Alright, thanks. Alright, circus goers. Today we're just gonna do, odds and ends on the old S10. Just little bits and pieces here and there. As you can see right there, there is, we're putting in a vent in the gas tank for the fill neck. The sending unit we are turning the return line for the EFI, so something's got to go. So we decided to steal the vent. Plus, it didn't come with the big fuel line return vent, so we gotta make our own. There's the piece we're gonna use, a little piece of brass. So George had to drill a hole through the old gas tank. Being that we're using rubber to seal it off, you got to make sure that there ain't no burrs on both sides of it. So George is going to go in there with the debur tool and clean her up. And yeah, we're going to do all that because, we don't want no damage to our vent. Fuel's expensive. Don't want that. So, but like I said, we just went down to the old plumbing supply, grabbed a couple pieces of brass and about the size of the hose. Home Depot stuff. And it works. So, but we gotta make sure, like I said, it's all cleaned up. We're gonna run AN fittings and stuff like that, which we'll show later on. Kind of boring, but you gotta have it because otherwise you can't fill the tank up. Otherwise it'd be dropping, it'd be kicking the fill nozzle every second. I'm trying to put gas in this thing. So George is there doing that. Gotta get a little rat tail action there. Gotta clean it out. Like I said, no burrs. It took us a little while to not figure it out, but get all this right. As you can see, there's a little fit. There's the brass fitting right there next to his hand. We got one on the inside. It's pretty simple, not real hard, but gotta have it. Like I said, gotta have it. George is like he's coming to that. For something so simple, it seemed like it took forever to do just this one little deal. You figure just pop a hole and let her go, but no. So, like I said, here we go, cleaning her up, and yeah. We can see there it is. There is the vent tube, the little brass fitting there. George is cleaning up the metal shavings so that way we don't get that in our fuel system. And there's George wiring up his radio. Kind of doing stuff out of it. There's the radio. Cool little unit. Does a lot. It looks kind of old and retro, but does a lot of modern phone. You can hook your phone up to it. Blah blah blah. SD. All the cool stuff. Modern. There's a mounting fascia for it. So we were messing around with it. There's George. He's got it in a bracket. Came off the part of it from the old radio. Made a couple mods to it so that way we could mount that thing in the truck. Just trying to kill the stuff off as we need to. Some parts are kind of irregular. I'm trying to, so do what we can do. Keep it going. So we did find out we got a little hole there above the radio, a little pocket. From the old radio was a lot bigger or thicker, so we got this gap. What do you do with it? What do you do with the gap? Yep, that's what we're gonna do with the gap. We're gonna put a cubby hole. Somewhere to store, pins, stuff like that. Of course, it's probably gonna shoot out when we, if you're racing it or going hard on it, it'll probably slide out of there. But hey, it looks kind of cool to pile up on the floor. Yeah. So. As George sits there, and he said there's a mount modified to mount the radio. We're, everything's, one off. You can't buy none of this stuff. We gotta make everything. So now he's got the radio in the frame and sitting in the truck. So now we go to figuring out how to make that little cubby hole thing happen. or whatever. So George goes through here and messes around, trying to get everything lined up, make sure everything's right, square, it's gonna look good, fit right, and all that. So here he goes. Alright, so as you can see here, we are trying to make the cubby hole. So we've decided we're going to make the cubby hole. George decided he's going to make the cubby hole, and he, for something that seems to be should be something so easy to do. As you can see here, it wasn't. I mean, we've made motor mount brackets, we've made transmission brackets, we fabricated a whole firewall. That little cubby hole, plastic, soft material, man, it was pretty cool. It was a pain. It took a while. Like I said, we whipped the firewall out. Some of the other brackets we've done on some of the other cars and rigs, man, no problem. 30-40 minutes. This thing took, I think we spent a lot of time, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, jacking around with this thing. Of course, then again, it's in the cab. We're trying to keep the look of the truck stock. So when you look in there, it looks stock, like rolled off the assembly line like that. So that takes a little more time, a little more finesse, but we're working on it. You can see here, George is we're still trying to get the depth right, because which way do you cut it, how thick do you make it? We don't have CAD designs and all the fancy tools. We're just a bunch of basically a bunch of rednecks in here trying to make her happen, and having some fun doing it. So there's George. He's trying to I think the first one we made was really shallow, so that didn't work out very well. It took a little time to figure out how thick to make the pocket, because the spot ain't real big, but it looked kind of goofy just putting a blank plate in there, because you look down and you're like, man, there should be something there. Yeah, took a little lot longer than we thought. Next, George is going in there. We were trying to figure out how to mount it. Do you mount it to the dash? Do you mount it to the fascia? What are you gonna put in it? All that kind of good fun stuff. Trying to figure it here. He's trying to figure it all out. What he wants to put in there. How he wants to mount it. We don't want, we don't want to mess with that fascia. We don't want to alter it to the point where it looks heavily mounted. And at one time, we even thought about taking the Dakota gauges, the Holly screen out, and figuring a way to mount it up and mount it there. But unfortunately, we'd lose the AC and heat controls. So we lose, like I said, the climate control stuff. So like, that ain't gonna work. Plus, we spent all that time making that. So that's gonna stay in the glove box. As I said, he's going along there trying to figure out how to do it, get her done, so it looks nice and clean, factory. And trying to decide: do you want it to come out with a radio? Do you want it to come out with a fascia? You got to decide all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I said we're trying to figure out how to make it work. Try it one time. Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, this is just what? Why? But hope when it's done, it's gonna look cool. It's gonna function. So it's gonna meet everything we want it to do. It's just, yeah. Here we go. We're trying to, be nice if we had one of the printers. So here I am. What I'm doing here is we have a throttle cable problem. The S10 throttle cable was like long. I mean, really long. Like even on the when they hooked up the S10 motor, you almost needed to loop it, but it wasn't long enough to loop it, so not binding. So what I did here is I ripped the throttle cable out of the Joker, because we're going to use a rod, not a cable, on that rig. So just to see if it would work, and with short, because it runs the Camaros run a shorter cable, so I am hooking up that cable. I want to see what it looks like, how it works. Will it hook up to the pedal? Should, which it did. Just for mock-up purposes, like I said, trying to get all that to, because then we'll order a new one for it. It just took a little bit. The stuff in the firewall there was a little weird, but I got it figured out. And like I said, now I'm outside the car checking it out there. It's just back and forth, making sure that full throttle. You just gotta keep messing with it. That's what happens when you start like taking parts out of another car and slap them in one that don't belong to. Got to make a few modifications to get it to fit right. And actually right there I'm fighting with the truck itself, because I don't know why, but the little clips on there that hold the throttle cable to the pedal, they were winning. They won. They were winning like there ain't nobody business. I was getting aggravated because that thing just did not want to let go, which is good, but the pain when you want it to come off. So here's me fighting it, trying to get it apart. Like I said, this is all the little odds and goofy stuff that it's got to be done in these hot rods that nobody really shows. Boring. It's got to be done, because not everything's plug and play. Not in these things. Not doing it this way. We got so much different stuff from different years and different cars, and adding this and adding that. It's fun. It's good to build. Fun to build. But then you get in spots like this where, I got to do it now because the steering column's still out. I'm still waiting on parts to fix that. That's why the steering column's out. We pulled it out so we could do some mods to that. And figured I better get the pedal thing situated, because once the steering column goes in, that gets even worse. Because we keep adding stuff, and this truck just loves it with no room. So there's George again. We're still working on it, trying to figure out. We got another one. I think I got 3 or 4 of these little cubby hole thingies, and we'll slaughter all of them if we have to make it right. As we continue on with getting all this kind of weird and odds and ends stuff done for the truck, so that way we can start driving, start playing with it, start doing videos of doing burnouts, and maybe a little action down in there where they call that in Mexico. That type of stuff. So here we go. Alright, circus goers, as time has passed, and as you can see, we're still working on it. Now George has got, as you can see right there in his hand, he has the pocket, the little cubby hole thing itself, cut the depth cut down. Stuck it in there. It looked, not right. Not right at all. So, as you can see there, where he's trimming down, he's had to trim down another piece to fill in the gaps to make it look right. Like I said, it looked didn't look right to us, to him. So we continue on, making it look, getting it to look right. Because basically that's all you got in the cab, because guess what, you're gonna be staring at the whole time you're in the truck. Everything in that dash. So if it looks goofy, it's always gonna look goofy. And so might as well just take the time right now, make it look the way you want it, get everything the way you want. As you can see down there below on that little deal, we mounted we have an extra fuse box, which is basically when you turn the key on, that thing's gonna power up all the goodies for the truck, because the stock, I think it's a 12 circuit fuse panel, it's full, and I piggybacked a few things off to make it work for now, but that's why we installed that, so that way you're not, if you blow a fuse, say for the turning signals, you're not losing fuel injection. You know, it kind of helps. So we've been working on all that. Also, as I said, that's down there. We didn't really discuss too much about that, but that's what that's for. That's a key on fuse box, so the key's got to be on for that thing to even work. That'd be an easy one to do. It's going to be easy. George wanted to be able to just see to make sure all of his goodies, extra goodies on the truck work. Plus, it was kind of one of the deals where do you put it? You know, we're running out of real estate quickly with all the features of the truck without pulling the dash back out and, you know, hiding stuff. So that's kind of why we put that right there. Like I say, as we're watching George work, he is trying to get that their little cubby hole thingy to look the part. Kind of like what we are trying to, like we've been trying to do with the whole truck, trying to make it look as stock as possible. Of course, with that fuse box, that was more of a necessity to make sure that we could see if there's any problems, if there's anything with a blown fuse. Easy to get to, easy to see. We do want to do drag and drives with this thing. It'd be kind of cool. That's kind of the purpose of building this truck. Not only do daily drive and have some fun with it, take it to the track, but maybe try to do some drag and drives. Be kind of fun. The Lord knows that the Joker and Porky are never going to be able to drag and drive. I don't think they'll ever, though. Those things street legal. Not by far. Yeah, I don't think so. So this is going to be our little, like I said, purpose-built truck. Because we want air conditioning and all that. Because if you're going to be driving, you know, doing a drag and drive, we got to drive from track to track or whatever. Oh, man, I'll do it in air conditioning.
And haters gonna hate. Naysayers gonna naysay, yeah.
Alright, as we were watching there, George was finishing up the final trim work on the cubbyhole itself. So now everything kind of sits where he wants it, how he likes it there. Now we just got to make a basically a trim ring around the front of it, so because there is still, you know, some funkiness there going on, which is, you know, part of making stuff. So he's gonna go ahead. He put the whole bezel back in it, you know, mounting it in, so that way it is like now we're getting to the point of this is the way it's gonna be forever. So type of situation. So right now he's finessing the last little bit to make sure that it's the way he wants it and the look he wants and the thickness and, you know, all that good stuff. So he's doing all that because he took basically we took one of them little cubbyhole things you buy in a radio kit. We slaughtered it, as you can tell. You know, we slaughtered it to get it the way we want it. So now we are so close to having it the way we want it. Still got a little bit of just not what he was looking for. So he's over here just trying to, you know, doing the final finessing. Because what I'm doing up there right now, I am in the front of the car and I am making the power steering lines, the pressure side and the return. We're using braided lines and fittings, you know, kind of, yeah. And said we're doing all this kind of stuff of ain't really interesting, got to be done. So that way when the truck starts, we can, you know, we're not pouring fluid all over the place. You know, I'm up there messing around with the throttle cable, trying to figure out a mounting bracket for that too. We might get into that maybe, I don't know. We'll see how things go with the truck. Probably be a couple of these little odds and end videos we need to be done because you know, kind of show what we're doing and how the truck kind of evolves from the 1982 long bed stock 2.8 with a metric 200 transmission to a long bed 82 with a 383 stroker, 700 R4, 9-inch Ford rear end. Yeah, that type of situation. So, but like I said, and you can see here, George is getting her closer, and yeah, we're trying to get it done. I said we get the fuse box down there. Get the fuel pedal looking, fuel pedal cable situation rectified for now. So, that being said, we're discussing other options to do with the truck. We're thinking maybe, we don't know yet. It's just thoughts and ideas. We won't say anything about that until George decides what to do with it. So, and there you go. There is the finished product. So that's kind of like what we're looking at. Yeah. Not quite in the right spot, but that's the look the truck's gonna have on the dash. So looks pretty stock, looks pretty cool, considering we just butchered it out of a cheap radio kit. So a little gluing, that kind of stuff. As you can see there in his hand, it's not real big, and I think that's what made it even harder, because it was so small, so tiny that it's just a pain to make. But got her done. So here we go. We're getting done. That's it. George is finishing up the trim ring piece right there, and yeah, be kind of cool. Get the dash all done. Kind of see what the whole thing's gonna look like. We're still kind of kicking around some ideas for to do with it. We still have a ways to go. As you can see, the glove box there, I think it had a sticker on it. So I think that's what that was. I think that was a sticker. Because I think at one time basically a teenager had this truck for a little bit, and they did what teenagers do. So with that being said, you can imagine with the radio stuff and all that looked like. Yeah, it was quite good. So there we are. George has got the dash bezel, and we're just kind of getting a glimpse of how everything's gonna look, and with everything in it. So put the bezel back in it and check it out and see what it looks like. Because as you know, we put the Dakota gauges in there, and we put a little. There used to be the reset for the trip meter. We put a little jewel skull deal there. And we tried to put the bezel on, and like, oh man, that's not gonna work. But it did. We just didn't have the bezel sitting down, sitting in the dash properly. So we didn't have to get rid of that little skull, because I kind of like it. It's kind of cool. But then again, I like skulls. I don't know. But there it is. Boom. Man, look at that. We're going to change the color scheme of the dash a little bit. We're going to stick with blue. Of course, it's going to be blue. So, yeah, we're just kind of like, yeah, that's going to look cool. We're talking about our new scheme of things. We need to kind of that black. There's a lot of black right there in the center of the dash. So we got some ideas for that. We'll see how that turns out once we get to doing we do the finish work on it. We're still roughing everything in, going through stuff. Like I said, we got some ideas what we're gonna do. Yeah, we kind of we're kicking around some ideas. We'll see what the finished product comes up when we do the video of the truck when she is done. So, with that being said, we are, like I said, we're cruising right along. We're looking at hiding some other things here and there. We got some spots we could in the dash. We found empty spots which with this truck probably won't have any by the time we're done with it. You take the dash off there and you'll be like, oh my god, what is all this? And there's going to be a lot of stuff. We plan on adding a lot of stuff to this thing to get her to be, fun. Yeah, fun. Or a nightmare. I don't know. Right now it's fun. Of course, if anything ever breaks and we got to fix it, it could be a nightmare, but probably. But hey, first question. Hopefully this should be very reliable and, like I said, all that. So George is kind of putting the dash in for bezel in, checking it all out. Man, it looks good. Liking it. Still planning on with some other ideas of maybe trying to get see if we can't get certain things to function like we want. There's so many ifs right now. We got a couple. Like I said, she's still in mock-up stage. So as this truck has gone, we've already changed quite a few things that when we originally started we weren't gonna do, and we did it. So yeah, and like I said, there it is. There's the final piece, and the trim ring's all in it, and we just got a little more to do, and now it's just a matter of mounting it to the bezel properly, getting it all in there. So yeah, we'll be done with that. So that part will be finished and out of the way. Cross it off the list of many things to do to the truck, which is getting smaller and smaller. Alright, so doing the rat killing on the old S10. There we go. We got our little extra fuse box mounted right there, and you can see the blue switch. And then underneath the hood here, we're gonna run a 10-inch, probably a 10-inch air breather. And then, well, as you can see, it's not a big deal, but we're hooking up vacuum lines, getting that stuff made in here. So getting stuff done so we can get closer to the fire up of this big bad boy. So, alright. Alright, circus goers, so here we go. As you can see earlier, George was putting in the radio. There it is. Ooh, looks spiffy. Nice. And then I was up here. We got some power steering lines hooked up, made up. So I did a little cleanup work underneath here. So we put a little shorter, put this cable, throttle cable in here out of the Camaro, because the S10 is really long. And then I welded this up, got this in shape. So it's good shape there. Alright, so that's it for right now.
Thank you.